Hello, Ugandans. I'm Patricia Namyalo, and we are here to discuss human rights and an overview to women and power in Uganda. In terms of the right to political participation, are women participating? Are they allowed to participate? Do we need to be given a go-ahead to participate, or can we just go on ahead and do what is necessary to ensure that the women in Uganda are taken care of, human rights are taken care of, and yes, freedom is something that is ensured for all Ugandans. As women, we are all Ugandans, and yes, I do believe that we have a right to participate in politics. And here with me today, I have some amazing women here in the United States. Most of them are from Boston. I myself am from Washington, D.C. With us today is Agnes, Nantolo, and Maureen. We are going to go on ahead and start off with panel introductions. Ladies, please introduce yourself. I'll start with you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for having me. My name is Maureen Asimwe Kalemba, and I'm here from Massachusetts, the great Boston state. I'm like to discuss the human rights or the women empowerment, and I'm very thrilled that you invited me to this forum. Very happy to see you, Nico. My comrades, Lydia Natoro and Agnes, my legal fellow attorney. So that is good. We are heading in the right direction, and we hope to discuss something that will impact the community and the nation at large.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Maureen. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Agnes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for having me. My name is Agnes Kaziba. I'm an attorney based in Massachusetts. I'm glad to be here. It's very empowering to have these discussions, and I'm glad that we are having them today. Thank you.
Perfect. And ladies, if you don't mind, please make sure you're muted. We have some echoes. I'm not exactly sure where they come from, but if we can all mute when we're not speaking, that would probably be helpful. Nantolo is not on with us right now. She'll be back very shortly. So we'll wait for pages. All right. Nico, can you please remove the other one?
Yes. Okay.
I believe that's where the echo is coming from. Perfect. Nantolo, can you please go ahead and
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Here.
It's okay.
I still feel the echo. I don't know what is happening. But I'm so honored to be here with an overview conversation related to the women, especially women in leadership. So thank you for having us. I am actually streaming from California in Irvine. It's pretty early, but hey, we need to talk about this.
Sorry, Natalo, I muted you. I think you have to put off the sound on the other device that you're using.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Because there's echo, because you have another phone.
I think you can get off completely and come back on. Yeah, she'll have to get off completely and come back on. The echo is really bad. But
and this one I will kick out.
Perfect. So while we wait for Miss Lydia Nantolo, Nico, you had some new developments with Freedom Uganda relating human rights violations in Uganda, and some cars that were donated to the government, and we want to find out what are those cars being used for.
Yes, thank you, Patricia. So we know that last month when Bobby Wine was incarcerated, there were lots of protests, and directly security forces started with enormous amount of violence. An example of that violence is this short. So what I've been informed is that these were just people in a shopping street. They were actually told to go outside, and at that moment, some cars drove by, and it seems because they were cheering, that was the reason why that car started shooting at them. And what we can see from the images, that one or two people were shut down. And what I heard from people on Twitter, that fortunately there were no deaths, but they did need to go to hospital to get fixed up. Now I looked at the car that was being used, and let me see how I can show that best. So I'm going to do that by looking like this, and then maybe like no, sorry for that. So the car that is here, I would just want to see that car, is the same. It's the same car that was donated by the Dutch government 2 years ago.
Okay.
When I say the same car, I mean the same car type, same color, same pickup, and this here is the Dutch ambassador giving the key to the police forces. You can see it's a white car, same kind of car that was shooting. And we've asked the Dutch embassy if they can say where those cars are, because officially those cars are supposed to be in the refugee camps up north.
Okay.
I think that could be the least that they could do, is to check out that the cars that they gave got into the right spot. But it could also be that actually they came with local defense units and they were used for kind of drive-by shootings. And I'm really sad that this is what is happening with the donor aid that is being supplied to the Ugandan government.
And what's
so back
important,
to you, Patricia.
I guess what's important is that we are exposing these injustices, you know what I mean? Because clearly the United States are very much more involved in what is taking place in Uganda today. Jimmy Spears said a few days back, and he basically was also asking about why Museveni was asking for cars to fight COVID-19. He was not asking for oxygen. He was not asking for anything related to really fighting COVID-19. He was just asking for money, and specifically cars. And so he did get the cars. And what we want to know is, what are those cars being used for? Clearly, they have not been used to fight COVID-19. So what are they being used for? And we are hoping that journalists can actually pick up this story and find out what is going on with these cars that were donated. Lydia Nantalo, thank you very much for being patient with us. Introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see myself now. Okay. Technology at its best. Yes, Lydia Natolo here, streaming live from California, all right. It's a little bit early out here, based on the East Coast, which is 3 hours ahead of us. But I'm so grateful and humbled to be part of this conversation. Overdue, women in politics, and the way forward for not just women, but especially the so-called developing countries, which I believe you already developed, but just need to be part of the conversation on the higher table with the so-called developed countries. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
Perfect. And so let us get started. An overview to women in power and politics. And so, Ms. Lydia, I'm going to start with you. Do women in Uganda have the right to political participation?
Thank you so much, Ms. Patricia Namialo. With my little few years I have in existence, We all know that women have been on the back banner of being on this dialogue, especially in the political conversation. I am so grateful to say, as we speak, I am the vice president of the UNA, which is the Uganda North America Association, especially that oversees the United States and Canada Incorporated. But looking back, we've never had more women participation, especially in higher leadership. Being the vice president, I was, I think, politically the first vice president. We had the first president woman a couple years ago. She lives right here in Boston, right there in Boston. But for so many years, it's been male dominant. And then we go back in our politics in Uganda, where we see that for so many years, we've never even had a woman president, better yet, a vice president. But that could be corrected too. Why are women so on the back burner of the conversation of the political affiliation? As we know, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. Our mothers have been sidelined in the sector of education. Our mothers have been told your job, your role is to be a woman, is to be a mother, is to have children. Our mothers, our grandmothers have been on the back burner of that dialogue. And it's upon us, their daughters, their sisters, to change that narrative. And to answer you in a short term, our mothers, we women in Uganda especially, have not reached that. That say that we have the political affiliation. If I can read, I have some facts here. It looks like, just to put the entire nation, not just Uganda, we're just 24% of all national parliamentarians are women. 24%. So that gives the entire percentage to men, right? This is coming from the United Nations Women, which anybody can go and look into as of 2019, just a year ago. We are looking at just 11 women have served as heads of state. 11 women in the entire world. We are looking at, it's so sad to say, but our neighboring country, which is literally smaller when we talk about the percentage of our living, Uganda, we have like 40 million something. Rwanda has a little percentage of million of people, but it has 61% of women serving in the parliamentarian. We go globally. Just 27 states have only 10% as women serving. 27 states incorporated. So why do I bring this facts? Because I want to educate our people to know women have been sidelined and the role of women is essential to the growth of a country. So I will leave it as that, and I'll bring more facts to you as you ask more questions. Thank you so much, Ms. Namiaro.
Perfect. I noticed you mentioned Rwanda. Maybe that is why Rwanda is very effective and the economy is doing so much more better. Clearly, as Africa, any African country you go to, we still have a long way to go in terms of ensuring democracy and ensuring that leaders are not ruling longer than they're supposed to. But we all agree that Rwanda is definitely way ahead of Uganda. Harriet Idena commented and said, Uganda, there's no human rights in Uganda for neither women nor men. Maureen, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm concurring with Harriet. Harriet is saying the right thing right there, because if they are, we would see it being observed. However, we're seeing that women are shattered, men are shattered. Women are in prison, people are in jail, people are being caned. How can you kill a woman who went to just get income or something to eat for his family, and that person is even shot dead with plates of food? So
Yes.
there's no human rights right there. A child who was with the mother and knocked down and paralyzed, all his lower limbs are taken off. So with this, we don't see any justice being done in our country, Uganda. Human rights are being abrogated. There's nothing beautiful in our nation anymore about human rights. We cannot sing that song. That song is overrated. They are not looking at how to help out a normal human being, a normal woman, a mother, who is going out to hunt for the family, to make sure that the family can be sustained. That's the person who is being shot at in the streets. That's the person who is being killed. That's the person who is being tear gassed. That's the person who cannot have their voice in the political system. Once they have the political system, they are no go. Why would we have a country where we cannot voice out our freedom of speech, where our freedom of speech is being abrogated and sat on, and there are some people whose voices have to be heard and other voices have to be silent? So I'm concurring with Harriet that there's no human rights for men and women in Uganda, and it's high time we advocate for those rights to be brought back into our system, into our nation. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I do agree. Yes, there's a lack of human rights for both men and women. But, on this note, I would also like to say that maybe if we had more women allowed to participate in politics, maybe that would change. Maybe things would be different right now. Our voices are being kind of like trampled on, whereby we cannot really effectively voice our opinions and actually be respected. I myself have seen that happen within leadership, whereby some people think that your voice is not important, and what you have to say as a woman is not just as important as what men have to say. So as women, we have to fight twice as hard to make sure that we are being heard than men have to.
I feel that so much on our culture, because culture is the one which formed us in that way. Mm-hmm. But we have now come up that we are doing much better. And women leaders have really shown that they are good leaders and they're good managers and they're good executive people. So women should be given a chance, just not rubber stamp of being put in a propaganda position, but they should be given a chance to manage. They should be given a chance to lead, because women leaders have proven time and again that they're best leaders than male leadership. So I believe that once we go away with the culture and the propaganda and the stigma that women cannot manage, yet they can, then we would have those women leaders who would stand on their policies, on their word, and make sure that justice is being delivered. And now we have the best, the highest justice, who is in the International Criminal Court of Justice, who is Justice Julius Sebutinde. So that one would be the person we would bring down to help us out with such injustices, so that she can tell us how we can go ahead, in order to do things right. So such leaders, we need a voice from them. They are in leadership positions, but they are silent, and yet we are suffering. So we need those leaders to come down, to let to teach, to educate, to sensitize other leaders on how better to lead and form justices.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ms. Maureen. And before we move on to Ms. Agnes, Nico, can you give us some updates on what's taking place on the ground with Bobi Wine? I'm seeing a lot of comments about Bobi Wine possibly being blocked.
Yes. That's the reason why we are having less viewers than usual. I'll be honest, I do not know the details. I do see this comment from this person that Bobby is blocked in a swamp, and we should be speaking about it. I don't have any further details. If there's someone that can comment on it, then please approach us, then I can invite you on the stream and you can give a comment.
Thank you very much. But again, in order to stop these injustices, it starts off with dialogues like this. Women do need to participate in politics, and they do need to have powerful positions in government and leadership, again, in order to really create a democracy that is inclusive of all Ugandans. And so, Ms. Kaziba, thank you very much for being patient with us. So we know that the president of Uganda gives puppet positions to women to make it seem like women are really participating in politics and different positions in government. However, in your opinion, is he the only one to blame? Do men in general prevent women from political participation?
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the problem of gender inequality is not a unique problem to Uganda, not unique to Africa. It's a world, it's a dilemma that we still have to deal with in the world. And so, in terms of whether he is to blame, I think this is something that goes beyond him and beyond the current generation. It has been an inherent societal belief that women have to be in certain roles and men have to be in certain roles. And whereas everyone has a part to play, and when that somebody fails to do their part, then of course they take the blame that, for the part that they failed to play. So yes, he is to blame, but there are a lot of people to blame. People before him, people before us, and people, currently in government, both women and men. I'm an attorney here in the United States, and even in the legal field, it's a very male-dominated field. That even practicing as an attorney in the United States, which is considered a well-diverse or more developed nation, is hard to maneuver or to be taken seriously or to be considered an equal colleague with male counterparts. So it's a problem that goes beyond one person. I think that women should not let men give them a chance or allow them. Women need to, if any woman believes that that is your purpose and that is what you ought to do, get up and do it. I don't think that this is a time when we have to sit back and wait for permission. I think that this is a time when women have to be the first and to be comfortable, to be uncomfortable, to be in positions where they're not welcome, to sit on tables where they're not welcome.
Yeah.
So that we create a space where other women can come on board, where daughters and granddaughters can come on board in the next generations, and feel that they're part of, and feel that they can equally participate and have a voice and be equally understood and valued. So this is something that I can't put on one person. This is something that goes beyond one country and one nation, one continent. It is a very, it's a inherently, it's a culture thing. It's not African culture, it's not Asian culture, it's not American culture. It's a culture belief that women have to be in certain positions and they're not welcome in some positions. And it's women to change that. Alongside men who want to fight alongside women, but I think women have to stop waiting for permission.
Exactly. I completely agree with you on that. And Ms. Nantor, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, ma'am. As I said, my time is coming to a close, but I'll still be available. Yes, I am.
No problem. I would like for you to talk to us about, I know are you a coordinator in Develpower?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Can you talk to us about your accomplishments in NUP and how you have helped NUP progress?
I am such a humbled soul to actually be living today and witness everything happening, especially in our country, Uganda. I am part of a leadership, a humble servant under our coordinator, Madam Aisha Nachijoba, who should actually be part of our conversation next time we have this dialogue about women in power. She has been our backbone leading us here in California. We in California decided to take our chapter as one. And what we've done is paramount. and our leaders, our comrade Haman Ainebiona can testify on that. But my little title beyond everything else is also I am a community mobilizer. But what we've done is to create this urgency in the California community that we are given a mandate to make sure we help our to-be president, Honorable Chagulanye, to get on the seat as a president. And we've been mobilizing financial support. And so many articles have been written about me, but by God's grace, I'll be able to endure this journey, because until we speak up, and this is what we women in leadership ought to do. Lydia, serving as a vice president of Ugandans in the diaspora, I need to do more than just being the vice president of Ugandans in the diaspora. We see the injustices happening in our country. We see what has happened. We see the killings. We've talked about them. We've showed them. People see what is happening. Yes. So I am part of the leadership here in California. And every Sunday we actually meet. I want to invite you all to be part of our dialogue. We meet at 6 p.m. California time. So please come be part of our dialogue. And what we want to see is to make sure that our president is safe. Our president gets to the seat. And we see these injustices. And I'm so grateful that NOOP has been able to actually bring more women into leadership, give them positions, be part of the parliamentarian, where we see we have a limited number of parliamentarians in our parliament. So that is part of the work beyond everything I do. And I'm grateful to be part of the voice that is to move our country forward. Thank you for asking me that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and you can always come back on the platform when you're ready, right? And Ms. Maureen, talk to us about your accomplishments. Right now, we see a lot of human rights injustices in Uganda. Ugandan people are struggling to fight for democracy, something that we will achieve because we are all very much involved in terms of working on the front lines and helping the Ugandan people elevate their voices here in the diaspora. What have been your accomplishments? I know you're also part of UNA. Can you talk to us about your accomplishments?
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Mrs. Patricia Namyalo. I was gonna call you Natoro because I'm used to her so much. Patricia, these are enormous accomplishments, and I've done them with my might and zeal and power. I've tried so much to be on a level ground with a lot of people. I strive for my achievements, and I'm proud of them. I want to say my greatest achievement is me serving in the U.S. military. So I love that achievement, and it's always my banner, and I call myself Afande Momo. I don't call myself, the community calls me, and then I adapted it, and I love it and use it wherever I go. So I started out in the Army in 2010, and I started out as a specialist, and now I'm a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. And I see women in leadership in the Army, you know, and it's a zeal that I want other people to come and take on. Because women started out when they couldn't serve in the military. They were serving as male, you know, they would disguise themselves as male because they feared to be identified as women. They wouldn't be allowed to serve. So we have moved from that era in the 17th century to this other era where now women are brigadier generals. You know, from the time that they were not allowed to serve, they were not even allowed to have officer positions, commission positions, to the time they were allowed, and now they are the ones serving and they are leading. That is an enormous accomplishment for women in the military. That should be even given back to our homeland. Our homeland, those women who are serving in those ranks, they do not, some of them even haven't attained the ranks, but they are networking to attain the ranks. Here in the US, the beauty of the rights, you work for your position and you achieve it and you've earned it. It's not just given to you, you know, because you know so and so. You have to earn your position to get it. So I would love to see that being done in our structure in Uganda, so that people earn their positions and they respect those people more than the positions being handed away like it's a candy show, you know? It's not a candy show anymore. So then I come to my position here in New England. The position here in New England, I am the New England representative of UNA. I love this position because when I came back here in 2016, I realized that a lot of things are astray and the leadership is not yet there. I did not feel the leadership. So I advocated to volunteer for this position to show people what leadership should be so that we can feel UNA on ground, because UNA was up there on top notch, but we never felt it in the grassroots. So I wanted to come to the grassroots. I wanted people to know that they can have their voices, they can have their issues, and they can have their achievements also celebrated in this great organization. So I advocated for that. And while there, I advocated to be the speaker of that UNA council. So I am the speaker of UNA council at the same time, and I advocate for the rights in there and procedure, because we have realized that in UNA, procedure is the biggest loophole or the gray area which they never touch. Ms. Kaziva would tell us that the law of civil procedure or the law of procedure is what trumps everything. Well, without procedure, you can't do nothing. So we are teaching people how to lead in a way that is better for all of us, not to lead just for, I would call it under the rug. We cannot lead people under the rug. We need to come up and show people how leadership is shown. And we need to come and be open and transparent. So all these things, we hit stigma, we hit walls, we struggle, we really make our voices be known in a different way than the way we would love to make our voices known, but we still make sure that we advocate for the change that we so desperately need. UNA is also not a good, like, I wouldn't say it's the best organization, and we are trying to take it there to the best organization there is. And with this women leadership that we have, because we are 3 women leaders in there who have those positions, the UNA president, the vice president, and me, the speaker. We are trying to move to steer this organization in an organization that has rules, procedures, and achievements. So we are seeing this now being done. We are seeing a different UNA this time round than the UNA we used to see in the beginning. So I salute all the women who are in there, who are in the leadership position, because we have the ones in BOT, we have the ones in CRC, we have the ones in the in Rules Disciplinary Committee, we have the ones in council, and we have the ones in the executive. So the UNA is really being represented well, and the women are in there doing the greatest things. So I come and then go into my legal role, and I work with the courts of executive courts of immigration review, which is the immigration courts, and I also work with the state of Massachusetts courts. So these courts help me as a woman leader and an advocate for Ugandans to help them know their rights, the legal rights, and volunteer to show them or refer them to the right lawyers who would help them in advocating or adjudicating their cases or issues which they have. These leaders do come in voluntarily. Now we have a community referral group where we have different lawyers, and Madame Kaziva is one of them, where we are pushing for those legal rights to be known, and so that our people do not feel that they don't have representation, but they would come to you to get the best representation, and you forward them to the best area and best expertise that there is there, so that they don't fall in trouble. So we are really trying so much to see that our roles do not just appear like roles of cosmetics. We are not cosmetics, but we are actually working and hands-on and on the ground, making sure that our people are well represented, our people know what to do, and they are not stuck. Because initially we found a stuck community, a stagnant community. Now we are breaking it down to a moving community. Yes, it's a crawl, walk, and run phase. Those are the 3 phases we shall go into. But we shall reach a run phase and make sure that our community is moving in the right direction and the diaspora is all on one page and we are doing well. We will achieve that. We have to just continue fighting the good fight.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And, for Ugandans watching, they might not understand why organizations like UNA are very important to the diaspora community. But these big organizations are kind of like they're supposed to be the backbone. And I believe that is what Lydia, Agnes, and Maureen are trying to do in UNA, to ensure that we can clearly see a clear representation of the people here in the diaspora within UNA, right? And I thought she was trying to say something, Lydia. But with that said, I know you have a lot of panels. All of you have different webinars that you organize on Zoom to educate people within the diaspora, whether it's about immigration or rules and laws that they don't understand, Agnes, Nantolo. So I really thank you for that. And then Nantolo, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and then we're going to go over to Miss Agnes. Please go ahead. You're on mute. Go on.
I am muted. I just wanted to accolade my Madam Speaker. Of course, I call her my Iron Lady. And whatever she said, rightfully so. But some of the work we're doing is to make sure we literally educate our members here in the diaspora and back home, because UNA does not only represent us here, but also represents Ugandans back home. But one major thing I want to say is, can we come together as Ugandans and literally build our organization as one? Because for so many years, things happened. Ugandans left. My call is one in the diaspora. That is my call to action. As a vice president of this organization, I see a lot of calls, a lot of the things that happen through the years, that so many Ugandans walked away from UNA. My call to, can we come as Ugandans in the diaspora to work together? Because it's a lot. If we were one UNA today and happening back home, we would literally have a bigger voice. But because we are divided in the diaspora, and I'm sorry to say that, it is truth. Many people, look at us, me and Madam Speaker and other leaders, as those other people, and for them they walked away from UNA, but we came into UNA to make UNA as one. So I just want to emphasize that we are calling on all Ugandans in America, in Canada, in UK. Even though UK is not part of our chapter, I would want to see in my term in office as a vice president, or the next chapter, to see that we can actually pull UK to be part of the diaspora UNA.
Okay.
And to me, that's my message today. And that's my message to also encourage women to come into leadership and to see that we can actually make a difference, because we beyond all the other circumstances, we have made a difference in UNA for only 1 year, and you will see it happen. We've helped so many of our people. And Madam Namiaro, I yield back to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Please, if you're not speaking, so we do not echo. Perfect. So, Ms. Kaziba, on to you. Can you please tell us about your accomplishments? I know that you are one of the lawyers within NUP, and you have done such an amazing job with this, reaching out to the State Department, and a lot of representing people on the ground, raising money to ensure that the women and the men on the ground that are being arrested are being taken out of prisons. So please talk to us about your accomplishments as a woman within NUP.
Thank you very much. I can talk about what I'm doing, about accomplishments. It's very hard to figure out what accomplishments are, I think, on your own. I think I'll let that be something that other people can say. But in terms of what I've been working on, I have a very unique schedule that I have to do. I have a private practice that I run, representing people in different categories, in family law, immigration, and all sorts of business law, all sorts of legal issues that I assist with. I've been really honored to be part of the few lawyers assisting in Ugandans in the United States, especially in Massachusetts. So that's an honor, really, that I'm able to touch lives, change lives, and contribute the little I can to the community. But outside of that, I have been honored to work with NOP, helping to free the people who are being prosecuted, politically prosecuted in Uganda, for no crime other than wanting change and wanting a better country for themselves and their children. So, I sit here, coordinate and liaison with the legal team in Uganda. We figure out the funding. I do send funds to the team. We raise funds here. I send them over. Then I'm lucky that I'm able to translate what is going on the ground to the diaspora. So I'm able to as a lawyer, understand what is going on when the lawyers on the ground explain it, and I'm able to translate and explain it to the people here. Other than helping people get out of jail as much as we can, I can say that we still have so many people who are still in jail, unfairly in jail, being tortured, being killed by the Museveni regime. It's unfortunate that we are going through such a time, but we are. Mute. Thank you. So I'm calling upon everybody, all the lawyers in Uganda and lawyers around the world to be part of this fight. People shouldn't be jailed for believing that the world should look a certain way, or their country should be led a certain way, or believing that that change should come, or they should have better hospitals or better schools. That is not an offense that people should be jailed for, or tortured for, or shot at, or murdered. So that is a fight that is ongoing. We still have hundreds, into thousands of people in jail that we are not able to get out. And so I call upon people, whatever you can do, just be part of that fight. The other thing that I do really is to push our message to the different governments around the world. NUP message needs to be heard. We need to be understood of who we are, because the Museveni regime is portraying us to be whatever they want us to be called, hooligans or whatever else. And that's not who we are. We are Ugandans who want change. We are Ugandans who know what we deserve, and we're basically speaking just that. And so I just put our message out, coordinate with senators in the United States, coordinate with other teams. I coordinate a lot with Nicole, who was here earlier, and he's able to, we're able to reach the European Union, the United States Senate, Congress, State Department, and the different organizations really who can be of use to our mission to take power in 4 weeks. I'm really glad that I'm part of that. Whereas there is an excuse from these governments that they don't assist Museveni, we all know that they do. And this is something that all Ugandans know. And so at this point, we just have to make it clear, like Nicole said earlier, there is a car that was donated to do certain work, and it's actually being used to shoot at Ugandans. So it's things like that we need to point out, and point it out to the people who are using aid or refugee aid or assistance to Ugandans, who are using that as a perpetual way of supporting the Museveni regime. And we need to say Ugandans are not as stupid as you assumed, or as Museveni made you believe. We have brains, and we can think, and we can add things up and make logical conclusions. And that's really what we're doing, just calling people out for their participation in murdering Ugandans, calling the different governments out and saying, you need to change, you need to reassess your policies in Uganda, you need to revisit your participation in the current matters that are going on behind closed doors where people are being shot at and prosecuted in all forms, including children. It's unfortunate what's going on in Uganda, but I'm just glad that I can do my part, and I call upon everyone, wherever you are, whatever skills you have, to be part of this fight, because this is bigger than me. This is bigger than the four of us. This is something bigger than even this generation, that we just need to do our part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kaziba. And for the lawyer that's listening in, or the leader that's listening in, or the activist, there's so many different ways you can, help with the situation in Uganda, whether it's reaching out to the People Power Secretariat, whether it's reaching out to the ANT party, FDC party. We are all fighting towards the same direction, towards the same goal, towards the same vision, and that is to liberate Uganda. So it really shouldn't matter which platform you choose to work on. But again, the People Power Secretariat, that is a place you can literally walk in and offer your services as a lawyer, as an activist, as a volunteer, as a nurse. Where we are heading into a very, very difficult time for Ugandans, more difficult than we actually realize. And so it's going to be all hands on deck. So before we talk about how we can change the narrative, I want us to talk about, women that have been incarcerated. We all remember the People Power headquarters being raided by the police, and so much stuff was taken. And in that same raid, there was a lot of women that were, that had shops outside the People Power headquarters that ended up being arrested. Some of these women are still in jail up to this day. And we all know women do not belong in jail, especially not in Uganda, where there's no human rights. These women are going to be abused. In fact, they are being abused and they are being raped. And so it is very important that we as women are, raising awareness to these injustices and what is happening to our fellow women back home. There's another woman, they call her Auntie Kaduka. I'm not exactly sure what her real name is, but this is someone that was very vocal about dictatorship and how much she wanted change. She supported Changulani Sentamu Robert. And as a result, the police came to arrest her. And when they did not find her home, they actually arrested her children. Right now, as we speak, she's in jail alongside her baby, her 3-month baby. We have seen men come out of these jails with no eyes. Some of them have died there. We know the story of Zuleika Nalukenge, who was kidnapped for over 3 days and abused and tortured. And so what can we do to ensure that we as women are raising awareness and amplifying the voice of the woman on the ground, that woman in jail that clearly needs our help and our assistance? Ms. Nantolo, do you have any solutions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Namialo. You were breaking up. I don't know whether it was on my side or many others here, but I think I heard you talk about a woman and her children. Were you meaning the so-called Mama Kaduka or Basenga Kaduka? Yes. Which we talked about a couple of days ago. Lydia, as a vice president in UNA, I am so disappointed by the police brutality happening in Uganda. And many have seen my conversations. Many have seen the things I post. But I believe that for me, there's so much anger. There's so much anger in my soul. There's this police brutality, but it's targeting certain individuals. Where until we wake up as a diaspora, by the way, the diaspora needs to know that we have a voice. Lydia been in this game for 15 years of my story in America. I've been here for only 20 years. For many, it can be, oh my God, 20 years. I've been on the front line to talk about the police brutality that happened in northern Uganda 20 years ago when I just landed in America. I've seen the progress of when people in the diaspora speak up. And by the way, then, there were no Ugandans speaking up. It was me and just a few, 1, 2, 3 Ugandans, but it was the American generation, the young people, that see that if my other person is not well, I am not well. The other person was miles away, ocean away. These young Americans rallied and made sure we go to the United Nations, we go to the Congress, we go to every senator in America. These were American children. I witnessed that. Today is our time as Ugandans in the diaspora. Do not take me wrong. I see so many people coming and attack me on my Facebook. By the way, I'm giving you some grace, but I'll block you. Every time I talk about the injustice happening in our country, some individuals just splur and say whatever they want to say. What is happening in our country is not fair. It's not just. It's not equitable, especially when we talk about women representation or women leadership. What do we need to do as in the diaspora? You ask me a question. It is going to take all of us. We are thousands and thousands in the diaspora. This is not about a tribe. This is not about a political affiliation. This is not about who your father is, your mother is, or anything. It's about humanity. It's about human rights, the conversation you're having today. So I want to call an alarm to action for our Ugandans in the diaspora. Let us wake up. It's not about wearing a red top on your heart. No. It's not about wearing a red t-shirt beyond the other colors. No. It's about fighting for your sister and brother back home. And this is the call to action, especially as Lydia, as a daughter of Uganda, but also a leader in the diaspora, as a UNA VP. So my call today, Ms. Namario, as you bring this conversation, are women actually brought on the front line now? We are still sidelined. And us in the diaspora, we also need to elevate that voice. We have this one powerful woman. She's the Speaker of the Parliament. We all know her. What has prevailed under her leadership? There's positives and there's negatives. And we all know when it came to the Constitution of Uganda, when it was changed, who had the last word? I'm sorry, I think I'm going to get the backside of this story. She had the ultimate signature to that. So when we are talking about women in leadership in our country, we are still fighting to get there, because even some we have, I'm sorry to say, they are being used by the leadership in the country. So our mission is not to bring a new leader or push the new leader into existence, but rather we're saying, we're speaking our voice, because the one who's seen are not literally speaking our voice. They're not speaking our language. So we need to create new devices to make our voice heard. And this is us today. And I want to thank you, Ms. Namiaro, for bringing this conversation today. And I hope we can actually achieve what we are bringing here today. And I want to invite you tomorrow. We're having a conversation tomorrow about the money that is coming from the government of Uganda to UNA. It's going to be tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. California time, because I live in California. It's coming through my office. I'm hosting it. I just want to put this disclaimer to you all. Please join us. And if need be, would want to have the choto on site, because this is us in the diaspora saying, this is the time when Ugandans in the diaspora, do we really need this money? Do we really need this money to come to UNA? Or to the UNA leaders, which is the presidents we're working with? Do they really need this money to come to the communities? So it's a call to our community in the diaspora. Lydia, I'm not about to cut any more words. Join us tomorrow, 12 p.m. California time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our leaders in UNA are going to be there. Our presidents are going to be there. And thank you so much. I am going to walk to my car to drive to work, but I'm going to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perfect. So again, still on the issue of women that are being arrested. I worked on Zuleika's case. Me and her were friends before she was kidnapped. And again, it's something that I always say that I knew very early on that they would try to kidnap Zuleika. And I told her that they would either try to kidnap her or do something even worse to her. At the time, the state was, they were killing a lot of women alongside, you know, Entebbe Road, and some women had been killed and their intestines taken out. Like, that's something they were doing to scare women away from the movement. People did not understand why they were doing these things, but they just really wanted to scare us away from actually fighting for change in Uganda. And Zuleika being so close to the secretariat and a leader within People Power, a beautiful woman, very vocal, I knew that they would try to get one of the female leaders within People Power and make an example of her. And very early on, I told Zuleika that that person is probably going to be you. And literally 3 months later, after we had that conversation, Zuleika had been kidnapped, you know. And it's something that I took seriously because I saw it coming. And so having gone through that, such a traumatic experience with Zuleika being kidnapped, I don't take it lightly when I see a woman, when I find out that a woman has been arrested and they have, like, for example, Auntie Kaduka, no one knows about anything about what's going on with her. She has not really communicated with family. Family members have not been told anything about where she is or what's taking place with her. All we know is that she's in there with her newborn baby, who's 3 months old. And then, of course, we have another woman in People Power. She's actually running for a councillor position. On the screen right now, you see #free Kwagala Angel. So that is her name. And she was actually shot earlier on this year in the foot. And so this is Auntie Kaduka right here. She's the woman that's in jail with her young daughter, who's 3 months old. And then, of course, we have Kwangala Angel, who was also arrested. I believe she was arrested somewhere in Arua on the campaign trail. But earlier on in the year, she was shot in the foot. And so she's already on crutches right now as we speak. And as we speak right now, she's been in jail for over 10 days. So I've been in touch with Dr. Lina. They're working very hard to get her out. I'm pretty sure Ms. Kaziva has maybe a little bit of information on this. But again, they need money. They need money. Right now, we are trying to take care of polling agents. That's something that requires a lot of money. And I mean a lot of money. And we don't have much time left to get this done. And then, of course, on top of that, we have people like Musiri David that are being arrested. We have people like, Auntie Kaduka that have been arrested. And then we have Kwangala Angel that has been arrested. And so wherever you are, as you're hearing this message, use these hashtags. I strongly believe that if every single woman in Uganda, or like let's say 10% of the Ugandan women that are on social media, posted a picture of this woman on their Facebook page saying free Kwangala Angel, free Auntie Kaduka, free Musiri David. It actually works. It raises awareness, and then the police is forced to actually release these individuals. And maybe, Nico, you can come and talk to us more about this picture that you've just posted. We can't hear you, Nico.
Thank you, Patricia. Yes, I've been looking up for these pictures, and actually I would like to hear from you more about these women, because I hadn't heard about them before. Just the amount of human rights violations is so incredibly large that I hadn't heard of their cases before.
Yes, yes. So I will forward you some information on them. I've been following their cases for quite some days now, working alongside the Freedom Uganda team. And I've also been posting on my Facebook page, kind of like on a daily basis. And again, in terms of raising awareness, we actually think that we can just post today and just stop posting. And then, you know, I've done my part. You have to like do the same thing over and over and over again until that person is released. You know, posting one time.
And I can say to our listener that it does help. It helps to confront people in the West with all those prisoners here, and just keep pointing it out to them. Keep using those hashtags.
Yeah.
This is a part of the world, the online world, where there's actually democracy, because NRM are complaining that they're not able to take care of what they are posting there. Today, a couple of days, they even submitted to YouTube a request to have a number of videos removed. It was they were the laughing stock, right? I mean, how do they really think those videos would be removed? They are losing the fight on social media. And if we all contribute to that fight, I'm even sure that fight on social media will spill over to the real world.
Yes, I would love to jump in right there, that it does spill over to the real world. Do you realize that Senator Menendez, yeah, here in the US, he really made a request and said he's among the people on the foreign committee, but he is trying to advocate for Uganda and the abuse of human rights. He has written to everybody in that committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, to really look at Uganda and how it has abrogated its rights. The letter from Engel and also from Secretary of State Pompeo has also made a lot of welcoming, that now the Western world, where people are looking for power to come at least and denounce such and act. We need them to act. We haven't seen the acting. Yes, now they're writing. That is good. They're making us know that now they're watching, but we need an action. You know, watching is not all that there is. So Senator Menendez is doing that right there. He is telling them that try to look at the injustices in Uganda. Try to look at the human rights abuses. These people are dying. The media is being streamlined. High taxes are put on media so that people cannot be able to come out and show what is happening on ground. So all this is being now put out in the broad daylight. So anybody who doesn't know about Uganda, right there is now getting interested, because there is something that is happening in Uganda that had not been happening on a daily basis. We've had these elections, but today the elections have been mad to an extent that we cannot say that we're going to have a fair ground. I do not believe we're going to have a fair ground, and that's why I want everybody's voice. I'm an advocate for change, and I'm always looking for that change that we so desperately need. And
Yes.
Muhammad Gandhi said, it begins with us. So we are the ones to advocate for that change. We're not going to leave it to somebody else. So if you can't come out to denounce the police brutality, you can't come out to denounce the human rights, you can't come out to denounce how these women are being treated, you can't come out to denounce how that motherless child is going to be out there on the street when their mother is taken to jail for no good reason, just because they're advocating for a political party. We all have a freedom to advocate for a political party of our own choice. It's a freedom we all inherit. It's a right we all inherit. You know, I always say these things are like a buffet. You know, I would love being somebody who like peas and somebody who like meat, but it doesn't take away that we are all going to sit on the same dinner table, talk, and enjoy the meal. That is how we should be doing this politics. This politics should not be looked at like, Patricia, you're for people power.
Yes.
Maureen is for DP. Agnes is for CP. Miss Natoro is for NUP. And then you come, I'm not talking to Patricia. I'm not talking to Miss Natoro. I'm not talking to Agnes because they're for NUP. No. We should be saying, man, come tell us what's best in NUP that we don't have in CP, we don't have in DP, we don't have elsewhere.
Yes.
This is the conversation we should be having, because we've been in this liberated world, the great America. We all like this world because it's a land of opportunity. It's a melting pot. But what has it done that is different that we have to emulate and take back home? That is its politics. They believe in their democracy. It's supreme. Even when people are saying that somebody's not giving up power, somebody's already giving up power. It is being done. There's nobody who's going to stay in power because they want to stay in power. Their democracy is supreme. So we should carry that democracy back home. That's the banner we should be carrying. All of us immigrants in here, we should be speaking the same language. You find somebody advocating for people power in here, but when they're receiving seven money in the back, you know, and they're advocating for NRM policies, meanwhile wearing that beret of people power, and they're masquerading here in the diaspora. And you're like, what am I going to believe? This is a two-sided person. We want to speak one voice. We want to be one unity. We want to say that end police brutality. It is non-partisan. You do not belong to any party to say that statement. You have to be a human being advocating for those human rights, for that freedom of speech. You do not have to look for anything elsewhere. That why are you talking about this? Are you for people power? Are you for NUP? No, I'm a Ugandan who grew up down there, who has relatives down there, and who is seeing these injustices taking place down there. And I'm advocating for that change that is so desperately needed in Uganda. So our human rights, it is high time we all wear the same umbrella. We all come under the same umbrella and say, this should stop, and Ugandan democracy should be done in a different perspective and a different spectrum. That's what we need in Uganda. We should stop anything for politicizing a change, and yet injustices are happening every day, right before our very eyes, and we have to look the other way. No, we need to come and speak out and say these injustices and denounce them and really advocate for the change we so desperately need. So I salute Senator Menendez for doing that, you know, because he has done a great role. At least for him, he has a good article. It's not a tweet. It is not anything like a one-sentence letter, but it's a whole article writing about Uganda, human rights abuses, what they are doing with these cars, what they are doing with donor money, and how they should stop the funding. All this is in that letter. So I love it, and I'm saying that we should continue speaking because somebody's hearing, and action will come. Action has to come, but repetition is key, and repetition leads to success. So success is what we need, and we need to keep repeating the same sentence every day, and we advocate for that change that we so desperately need. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maureen. And Ms. Agnes Kaziba, you're a lawyer. What advice do you have for women that are going through situations like this, being arrested on a daily basis just because they support NUP, or they want a democracy, or they're against dictatorship?
That's interesting. I wanted to, before I answer that question, I see a lot of comments coming in about Auntie Kaduka and the other comrades who who have been detained and who are being tortured or hurt or harmed by the Museveni regime. I don't hesitate to say who's doing it because it's his regime, and so nobody should feel, you know, that they can't say who's doing it. These are not people disappearing and getting into jails by magic. They really are being detained by the Museveni regime anyway. So I'm seeing a lot of comments, and I just wanted to say that to encourage the people. I'm on the legal team. I'm working with the legal team on the ground, and we are on top of all these cases. And although when people are stuck in, and I can't say much because some of these conversations are privileged, but we're on top of these cases, and we'll, you know, like we have freed hundreds of our comrades already. We're definitely on top of this, and we're doing it, and they'll be free. We do our best to make sure they are free. All comrades, they're not just 3 at this point. I have names of hundreds of people who are still in detention, and that we are working to free day and night. But I just wanted to say to people, these are things that the Museveni regime is doing to scare us and to intimidate people and to make sure that they shut us up. And we shouldn't play into their games. We shouldn't let them win at this. We have the power to change our destiny. And unfortunately, some people will be jailed, as has been the case in history, time and again. When the oppressed want to end the oppression, there is death, there is detention, there are all sorts of injustices that occur in the process, but they get there. The world was now created on the spectrum where we see it today. There was slavery in America, and for it to end, there were a lot of processes that took place. And within that, some people died and some people were detained, and a lot of things happened, but we're in a better place. We are trying to create a better Uganda. So in the process, the oppressor is going to try to kill people, and so that he can scare the rest away from speaking out or from calling for change. But we are not stopping, and this is something that if anyone who speaks to this dictator is listening in, we are not stopping. This is not going to scare us. He does not have enough prisons in Uganda to detain 40 million Ugandans. He does not, and we know that. And he can build them every day, but he still will not get, in fact, enough prisons to detain 1 million people. So we know that even if he detains hundreds of thousands, we will still go ahead and we'll still win because we are the majority. And he and his little clan of followers are the minority. And there is no way, even with the strongest guns in the world, that they're going to win. And so we are not stopping. And instead of trying to use different tactics and trying to either buy off people or kill people or kill people's children or arrest them and detain them and do all sorts of things, instead of trying to do that to try to achieve silencing Ugandans, he should probably look into how to transfer power, because it's happening. It's not whether it's happening, it's how it is happening. So at this point, it's for him to choose how he's doing it, whether he's going to do it peacefully, that he would have wanted it to be, or we are going to take it from him. But we have seen this in history. When you oppress people for years, for decades, at some point enough is enough. We've seen it in history over and over. I cannot go back enough to tell you that when the time has come, it has come. He can't stop it. He can try, which he's doing. He's detaining people. He's detaining mothers. He's detaining pregnant women.
Babies.
He's shooting at children.
Yes.
He's having cars driving into crowds. He's having cars ram into Honorable Chagulani's motorcade and trying to run them off the road. All this stuff is not working. He's not going to win by using those kinds of tactics. What he needs to do is to decide how he wants to go. He will go. He's going. There is no question in whether he's going. It's his choice to pick how he wants to live. whether he wants to live like Gaddafi, whether he wants to live like Bashir, whether he wants to live like the Egyptian president. It's his choice, but he's living, and that is not something that he has to choose whether he lives or not. He's living. It's up to him to use which path he wants to which door he wants to exit through. So I'm calling upon Ugandans, don't get scared. Don't let him scare you by detaining people. He cannot detain 40 million people. Like I said, he doesn't have enough prisons to detain even 1 million people. He doesn't have enough resources to kill everyone. And he can't. He can't kill everyone. He can't detain everyone. So don't let him scare you. Don't let him derail you and get you off of the purpose for which we are working. We are working hard. Everyone he's detaining, there is a full legal team working so hard, I being part of that team, to get them out. The people that he's putting into hospitals, I'm part of the team, again, that is getting them out, getting their medical bills paid. We shall work through this, but we should not let him distract us. Have a purpose. We have a Uganda we want to see, and it's not anywhere close to what he's offering. And we are not giving him, this is not an option. We are not asking him. We are telling him to leave, and it's up to him to choose how. But I'm calling upon everyone, be strong. Let's keep driving on and walking on and running on. And we are almost there. Just a matter of 4 weeks and we'll be there.
Perfect. Thank you.
To add on to her, her submission, I'm just saying that we have the Uganda Law Society down there, and it's being headed right now by a female president. So I'm calling upon the Uganda Law Society and the Human Rights Commission. All these commissions are headed by people who are females. And many females are in those places of governance. And they're seeing these women's rights being abrogated when these rights are not even being looked into. And they're sitting comfortably in these leadership positions, not formulating plans to help these women who are suffering. They should be the ones advocating, and we should be maybe funding, raising resources to help out, because they're the ones on the ground.
Yes.
I call upon the Uganda Law Society female president to do something to these women's rights that are being abrogated.
Yes.
So she is in leadership and she heads the Law Society. So she heads all the legal fraternity in there. So let her do her role. Let her stand out and make sure that these women in jail get the bail, the bond, the release, and go back to their families and be able to be productive in their families. Because first of all, they're being arrested for nothing. So if these women in leadership down back home cannot do anything, we are the ones doing something, then it leaves everything wanting. Why are they holding positions when they cannot fight for the fellow women?
Yes.
To me, it doesn't make sense. They need to do something, because they're the women in leadership down there. We women here in leadership are advocating for those changes. We are enlightening the world about this change. People are marching in Washington. We're marching in all our states. We are saying that, no, this should stop. We are writing letters. What are these women doing back home? So my call is those women back home to do something and make sure that these women in jail can come freely out, and then their cases are dropped and they can go back and unite with their families. Afande Momo, I gotta go. I have an appointment at 1, but thank you so much for blessing me with this occasion. And I thank you, each one of you who has been listening in. And Patricia, thank you for the invite, and Nico for the awesome job. Agnes, it was nice to be part of your team, and Miss Lydia Natoro. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maureen, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. So, Ms. Agnes, the question now is, how do we change the narrative?
Thank you. I'm stuck here alone. We have to realize that we don't change the narrative by looking on. We have to do. We have to be people of action. Whereas talk is good, in most cases, talk doesn't get things done. So and I believe that everyone in the world, every single human being on the planet has a role to play, and has a role to play in creating a better world. And there are a lot of people who are picking up their slacks and moving forward and doing their job. But when some people are not doing their job, then it creates a vacuum where the few people who are doing their job can do theirs and everybody else's. So I believe that whereas I have a part to play, I believe that if I play my part and you don't play yours, or someone else doesn't play theirs, then the results are not going to be the same. So this is a time when everyone has to make the sacrifice. Everyone has to do their part. Everyone has to make themselves uncomfortable. We all have to create the discomfort and be comfortable to live with discomfort in the meantime, so that we can create a better world, so that we can create a better Uganda, a better Africa, a better world. And this is a time when everyone has to do something, every single person. And this is not a fight for NUP supporters or people who believe or Christians or Muslims or whatever. This is a fight for everybody. This is a fight for Nico is here. Nico is not a Ugandan. He works more than many Ugandans do to create a better Uganda. This is something that should be an example that you don't need to be from somewhere. You don't need to be. You just need to want to see a better world, a different world, and to be willing to do your part to create that world. There are a lot of things that we all have to do as women, as girls, as mothers, as fathers, as husbands, to create that world. If you do not believe that that is the position where you would want your daughter to be, then don't let this woman be that position. Create a position for this woman, so that one day when this woman steps away and your daughter is supposed to step in, it's a comfortable situation. It's a comfortable position. I have worked with a lot of people who have an issue with, for example, a woman having an opinion, or a woman being educated, or a woman being on a certain table, or voice a certain opinion, or disagree. And I think that is pretty backward. It's a backward thinking, because I don't believe that God created half a brain for a woman and full brain for a man, or that God created a different incubation period for a man than a woman. I believe that every human being has a right to speak and to think and use their brain. That's why they were given a brain, and to do the work they're supposed to do. And so if we all stop thinking and looking at people as a woman or man, and look at people for what they offer, and the substance they bring, we will move forward, so far forward, and the world will be a better place. So I think it's just like, creating a place where you would want, for men, creating a space where you would want your daughter to be if you had a daughter, and for women, creating a space, and for women, to be willing to grab, and to be uncomfortable, and to step into places where you're told you don't belong, and to be imposing, because it's the women who imposed before us who created the space where we sit right now. 100 years ago in the US, I couldn't be a lawyer. There are women who made that change, who changed the system so that I can be a lawyer. There are a lot of things, that people had to do to be uncomfortable and to impose and to be called all sorts of names, so that we came here today and we're enjoying the freedoms we enjoy. So that is in Uganda, that is in every space, every country in the world, where, it can't be gender, it can't be age, it can't be anything. You just have to create a space and remember that you're standing on someone's shoulders to be there, and create shoulders for someone else to stand on to be in a better place.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for the two of you. In Uganda, when we see protests, I think it's also because of the nature of protests. You see mainly men in the streets, and then in Belarus, they're also removing a dictator that has been in power for 35 years, and the elections were also rigged, like what we expect to happen on 14th of January. And when the protests took place in Belarus, the woman took a very special role. First of all, there were many women-only protests in Belarus. And if it was a mixed process, then usually the security forces came out to arrest the guys, because it doesn't look good on camera to arrest women. So they tried to arrest guys, but then 10 women would go around the men and protecting the men, and it actually worked. The security forces, they were not able to defeat this peaceful resistance of the women. And there was actually a lot of this kind of organization in Belarus. And I would like to ask the two of you if we can take anything away from how they do this in Belarus.
From my point of view, women in Uganda shielding the men, they will be killed. As we said earlier, in Uganda, there's no human rights for both the men and the women right now at this particular moment. But then when it comes to women getting out and protesting their human rights, for example, in the situation of Auntie Kaduka and the situation of Angel Kwagala, I hear an echo, so it's kind of like distracting me. But the situation of Angel, yes, that's why we're here today. It is because of those incarcerations that we, the women, decided that it is very important that we have panels where women can discuss leadership and how they can participate in politics, and also how they can empower Ugandan women to activate better, or Ugandan women to join politics, or to start nonprofit organizations, anything that deals with leadership. Right now, as I said earlier, we're going into a very difficult time in Uganda where so many people are going to be killed. And the truth is, in situations like this, it's mainly the women that actually get affected the most, whether we choose to fight or not. It is our kids that are going to be killed. The woman that got killed on the street holding plates, she was just working. She was going to take a plate to someone and, make a living off of that. Unfortunately, she never got there. She ended up dead. Another woman that was ran over by a car. We were working on her case sometime last week at Freedom Uganda. This woman was, she had just come from a doctor's appointment because she had a problem with her feet. Next thing you know, a car knocks her. We see her, she's still alive. And then we followed up on the case. She had died, So the question is, were all these women part of politics? Were they NUP supporters? There's another woman, Miss Hajara, that lost her son, her 15-year-old son, Amos Segawa. They had just gone to work. They were selling clothes. They decided to leave early that day so that they could go home and avoid the violence in the city. And on reaching outside, she notices everyone has their hands up, and so she holds her son with one of her hands and then puts her other hand up. And as a way to basically say, hey, we are peaceful, we are not protesting, we just trying to get home. Next thing you know, she notices a car approaching her, 8 police officers on that car, they're shooting into the crowd. Before she knew it, her son was shot in the head. So we as women have to realize that we are the mothers of creation, and we are being affected by the situation in Uganda. And until we rise up and we start doing something about what's wrong with our country, so that we can create democracy, our children are going to be killed. And so how should women activate? We talked about it today. All these women that were on this panel come from different backgrounds, different professions. They have different degrees. Some of them have master's degrees. Some of them have no degree. I don't have a degree, but I'm here. Miss Kaziwa is a lawyer with a family and a full-time job and her own practice, and she's here. We all work for free on behalf of Uganda. You know, Miss Maureen, you know, used to be, she was in the army, and now she's a spokesperson for UNA, and then of course there's another position in UNA, and she's here. She's working for free, you know. And then of course we had Miss Lydia Nantolo, the vice president of UNA, doing everything she can to change UNA. I'm actually excited that we had this dialogue today, because I've actually always disliked UNA. And it was very enlightening to see that UNA is actually heading in the right direction, thanks to the leadership of women. And so, Ms. Kaziwa, maybe you can answer the question Nico asked in, from your own personal point of view.
Thank you. Thank you, Nico. That's a great question. And thank you, Patricia, for that input. I believe that the Museveni regime has done a great deal of work to intimidate women and to scare them by maybe shooting one woman in front of everyone else, or shooting a pregnant woman to send a message that he's not willing to spare anyone. If any man can get a gun and shoot a pregnant woman, there is a very graphic image that went around when Dr. Besigye was running a few years ago for president, and there was some protests, and Museveni shot into a primary school. Now, to give an idea, a primary school has, I think the oldest children in the primary school are usually 13. So these were 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, little kids. And he shot in the, you know, his officers shot into a school. Kids, few kids died. A lot of them, you know, got injured. And that is not for him to say he will be shooting into schools. That is new method. That is for him to say, I'm not sparing anyone. I want power so much that I'm not willing to spare even kids. Those same protests, he shot into a pregnant woman, and we saw intestines and whatever else running out of her. Those kinds of images he uses to send out a message to the rest of the women. I'm not willing to spare you, whether you're pregnant, whether you're a woman, it doesn't matter. So whereas a lot of dictators, and this is not surprising, Museveni used little boys to capture power. He used 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, gave them guns and told them to get power for him so that he can be in a position with his family and little clan in the position where he is. He used little kids. So that also shows you the kind of person he is. He's a ruthless, brutal dictator that is not ashamed. We have seen it all over the world, and you just mentioned that, Nicole. Women are usually spared. Children are usually spared, and not by Museveni. Museveni has sent a message to Ugandans that I don't care if you're a child, I don't care if you're a woman. I am taking everybody down to keep myself up. So this is a message that has intimidated a lot of Ugandans, a lot of women. And that shows you the unwillingness for women to step in. If it was a safe space for them, where the women in Uganda felt like they could come and protest and not be shot at, or guard their husbands and their children and their fathers, they would. But this is a brutal dictatorship that has shown no indication that they will yield to children, to women, or to anyone, really. They really are determined to stay in power, that they are willing to take anybody and everybody. And so I don't blame the women in Uganda much for not doing the same thing maybe the women in different places in the world have done, because it's a different operation space. We have seen even during the civil rights movement in the United States, where the men were all arrested, the college boys came to protest, they were all arrested. The women came in, some of them were arrested. The children came in. That was the end. That was the end. When children come, that's the end. There is always a stopping period. There is always a red line. And for Museveni, we haven't even seen a red line for him. He has shot at children. That is usually the red line for every brutal regime. And so the Ugandans are weird. The Ugandans, for them to be able to get the freedom that we are looking for, we need to be able to even to in fact sacrifice some of us, to risk some of us, because we know we are stepping in that space. We need to want freedom so much, and we need to want good hospitals so much, and good schools so much, and decent living so much, that we are willing to say, I'm going in there. I may not come back, but I'm going in there anyway. And that takes women, that will take children, that will take men, that will take every Ugandan to say, I know it's not safe. I know I may not come back home, but I'm going there anyway. That is a determination, that is a selflessness that we need to go with. But otherwise, I don't think that we will see the same kind of operation that, if women come into the streets, they'll be spared. We have seen over and over that he's not sparing.
Nico?
Yes, thank you very much for those responses. We are looking for the Ugandan solution, and we maybe not those beautiful pictures of women, but we've seen the beautiful images of people going through swamps. I saw them yesterday again to see the principle. And those images, they can make a lot of impact in the West.
Yeah.
I have now also found the pictures, and I can see them now in a good way. Is it a good moment to show them?
Yes, absolutely. And Ms. Kaziva might need to probably leave. So please go ahead if you need to.
Thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for the hard work you do for all Ugandans. And on behalf of all Ugandans, thank you very much. Thank you, Patricia, for having me today. I thank all our viewers and all the panelists who were on here earlier. Thank you for all your contributions. I encourage all Ugandans to continue on, and we are almost there. Unfortunately, I have to go off, but I hope that we can have more discussions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kaziva. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Nico, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a better way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. So the movie we were able to see, and this was the car that was used in that attack, and then here is the same type of car, same color, and here this is the Dutch ambassador handing over the keys to the Ugandan police forces.
And you might want to tell this story for people that had just joined, that were not with us in the beginning.
Yes, that's a good idea. So let me just show that this. And we just saw that 2 people were shot. Unfortunately, we found out that they have survived, although they had to go to a hospital. And if we then look at a still of that picture, then this was the car that was shooting at those people.
Okay.
It's a really a particular kind of pickup truck. And 2 years ago, the same brand, same color, were given to Uganda by the Dutch embassy. Supposedly, they were going to be used in the refugee camps in the north. But we know that many cars don't end up in the places where they're supposed to go to. And it might be possible that these cars went to the Kampala police or to local defense units. And we've reached out to the Dutch embassy to ask them, where did your cars go to? Do you know where your cars are? If you give something to someone, you want it to be well used.
Exactly.
The conditions for these gifts were they were supposed to be used to help refugees, not to shoot at innocent Ugandans that are just cheering by the streets. And that is just a fundamental human right.
Yes.
And so it's very important that the donors understand how their gifts that they think are getting into the right place are actually hurting Ugandans and are actually causing the dictator to remain in charge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, as we know, knowledge is power. So as you get this information, you want to repost these things. Someone somewhere is watching, and just like Nico and one of his friends looked at that clip, and they were able to find out exactly what was taking place. But thank you very much. I guess this is it, unless Nico, you have anything to say. And
well, what I would like to do, I would like to, because it wasn't all too optimistic. Maybe we can end with a very optimistic movie about how we're going to win this struggle.
Absolutely, that sounds good.
Okay, so let me already say goodbye and thank you, Patricia, and let's start the movie.
Bad Bobby Wani Medeo, Mabatamani, Mumuneri Jaco, Nemuera Virantis Sindicako, Eyo Yensonge Antala Musomero, Era Chechin Fula Owenjaulo, what do you want to say? Our Nemerako, Mama, the movie. You can never.
Thank you.
And goodbye, everyone.